And I'm really excited because, everyone is really focused on content nowadays, right? But I think the real question is that everyone has is what happens after someone finds you? Because I have seen so many entrepreneurs posting consistently. They are showing up, they are doing all of the things, but it's still not converting. And so today's conversation is not about posting more. Okay. We don't want you to post more. It's really about what actually turns that attention that you're getting into clients. Because content gets the attention, right? But conversation is what gets the clients. And so today I am very excited to be joined by Maddie and Sarah from Manny Chat. I know many of you listening or watching or tuning in love Manny Chat, and they're going to give their perspectives on this conversation today, okay? PR and communications and social media, which is really how brands are winning right now. I see these ladies out in the streets of social media doing so many amazing things. I had to have them on the podcast today. And so we're going to actually talk about what is working. So, welcome. I'm excited to have both of you on the podcast. Welcome, welcome, ladies.
Yeah,
Hi.
hi. Thanks so much for having us.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you all are in Austin, so I'm so glad to have you joining from Austin. It's a cloudy day in Chicago, but we are here. So if you're tuning in, if you're watching live, thank you for tuning in live. And if you are listening to this on the airwaves, we appreciate you. So let's get into it because you all already know I like to get straight into it. We're going to talk about what's actually working. Okay, I want to start there. So, from your perspective, and either one of you can start first, what are brands doing right now that most entrepreneurs are missing and creators?
Ooh.
It's a good one. Sarah, do you want to start? Do you want me to? I have an answer here.
I don't know. Yeah, you go first. I got to think about this one.
Okay, so first off, thank you so much for having me. For anyone who is tuning in or listening, I am Maddie. I am leading all of the PR at ManyChat, and so I've really been kind of keeping an eye on what brands and a lot of other companies are doing right now. And I think the thing that I'm seeing starting to come up, maybe it's not quite every brand doing it right now, but those that are actually understanding social and like understanding like being social first are the ones that I'm seeing starting to take off a little bit more. Investing in creators, the ones that are investing in their employees and like supporting their employees doing like their own content. So even having that employer generated content, that's something that I've been hearing over and over again as well. And so I think the brands that are really like investing in that right now are the ones that are really becoming something. So that's like my initial thoughts on that question.
Yeah, and to chime in from my perspective, hi everyone. My name is Sarah, and I run our social media at ManyChat. So I handle our Instagram and YouTube primarily. I'm gonna take this question from the perspective of how you said brands versus entrepreneurs. I think that typically, from a social media perspective, brands think very strategically. Like, there's not a moment where you can't have a strategy behind what you're posting. I feel like a lot of solopreneurs who are kind of doing it on their own, we're bombarded with so much to do in a day that it's really hard to sometimes step back and think more strategically because we're trying to post so much every single day, which I understand and can relate to as somebody building a personal brand. That stepping back and being like, you know what? Like, am I actually showing up in the best way strategically, or am I just showing up to show up because I feel like I need to post today? So for me, that would be what I feel brands kind of do right. But sometimes, like a solopreneur who's very busy and overwhelmed can get wrong.
I love this. I love this. And I think there's like so many things, of course, we can do wrong and right. But one thing that I'm really seeing the shift in is, so would you say that the shift is really from content to conversations? Because I see a lot of people saying, okay, I'm posting this content, but I'm not necessarily converting, right? Do you think like we are shifting in that, going from the content? Are we shifting to the conversations? Are you seeing people do that?
I would say Yes and no. I do think conversations are definitely like a big piece of the puzzle now. And I think it's a little bit, at least maybe from me, I have the PR point of view here. So, like for us as ManyChat, it's like, where are the conversations that we should be in? And so thinking of it that way. But from like the flip side of probably a creator, like, how can you like see the conversations that are maybe happening around your niche, around your if you have a product, around any of that, and like attach yourself to those conversations, or even have something that actually starts that conversation, I think is where your content actually can become that. So it's kind of like this weird, there's not really an answer for it right now, and I think we're all trying to kind of figure this out as we go. But I definitely think that this idea of conversation is something that I know that like a lot of us internally have been talking around, that word alone, conversation, and seeing like really what that could become. And I think that there is definitely a larger story and a larger action item around this idea of conversations, that we all are paying attention to a little bit more now. And especially with like the feed is getting so saturated as well, because there is so much content just coming out and coming out and coming out. So it's like, how do you stand out? It is, I think there is something to say there with the conversation side of it.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you too. I think one of the things that I say to entrepreneurs who are trying to grow on socials, like you're really trying to build your personal brand and like you essentially are what sells your thing. People love talking to people and conversations are what sell. So from that perspective, like I think that if you can use your content in a way that drives conversations for you, like that's how majority of people that I've worked with in the past have seen 99% of their results. It's like, oh, this person slid into my DMs because they had questions about things. And over time, I helped them with XYZ things. You know, I would voice message them and I would do this. And like, that's how they generate the sales and generate the results that they're looking for. Or even like beyond sales, like a fan base, a community, like really people who, you know, show up to their live events, show up to their live streams, whatever happens to be. Like, I think that's the best way to do it is to really just build those relationships.
No, I love that, and I can attest to just having conversations this week in the last 3 days, just having conversations with people in their DMs, and like you said, really just talking to real humans. I think we're in this world where it is like, I guess they call it the trust recession, right? We've been hearing a lot of people say that,
Yeah.
but I think if you're having these real conversations and actually, talking to people like they're human, like that can lead somewhere. Even just for me this week, I got 3 potential leads just for a high ticket service. So there's so many ways to just really humanize this. And I think this goes into what I want to talk about next is the DM economy, because we know ManyChat is the innovator. Okay. I love ManyChat. I use it all the time. And I think it's been an instrumental tool in my business. But let's talk about these DMs because I feel like this is where the most people get stuck, right? I think DMs are very underutilized as a sales channel. And of course, everybody always says, oh, let's jump on a discovery call. But what if the discovery call was the DMs? Like, how are you guys feeling about that?
Yeah. From my perspective, I don't love doing discovery calls. I never have. Just to be honest, because I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this trap where they do a ton of discovery calls and it wastes so much time because a majority of people are not necessarily the right fit. So when I started using ManyChat, it was prior to me working at ManyChat because I am a creator. And so I was doing social media management. That was the service that I was selling through Instagram and through social media. And so I would personally use my DMs just like you said, like as the like let's qualify this person and figure out like are they the right fit before we hop on a call. And I think that just again it ties into conversations. Like you can tell from a few DMs if this person is a right fit or not. Like I never think that I'm the right fit for everybody at all. And frankly, I don't want to put myself in that position either. Like I like to be a little selective. Like I want to make sure it's the perfect person. And I think there's a lot that you can do in the DMs, like even just through like voice messages and things like that. Like I love all of that.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Sarah just said, on how like just being able to connect with your audience through DMs as well is such a powerful tool. And being able to, I think a lot of people think of us as just the platform that can send you a link if you comment. But we actually like there's so much more that you can do within DMs that can actually help grow your business. You can help actually take your audience, if they are the qualified people that you want to connect with, and actually bring them outside of just the algorithm too, and give them access to your newsletter where you're giving them those tips, and just continuing to build those connections off the feed, as much as you are in your content on the feed.
Oh, I love that. And I don't think that there may be people listening, they haven't even touched all these features of ManyChat. They haven't even thought about all the things that they could do. Just give me like two things that every creator and entrepreneur, like what are the two to three features they should be using right now?
Ooh.
Ooh. I can jump first. I feel
Yeah.
like the ones that I've really been liking, and I've seen a lot of good results with creators, asking for the follow before you deliver a freebie. So this is a really big one. Like you can basically have it set up so that it's like, okay, they comment the word, but then before you actually deliver the link, you ask them to follow, and then they have to literally follow you before getting the thing. I was a little hesitant about it at first because I was like, I don't know how I feel about giving people an extra step, but it actually does work quite well. And then for a second one, I don't know, maybe oh, I've been really liking setting up quizzes in the DMs as well. So like for a couple of like the clients that I've worked with, I'll set up like, little this or that type quizzes, even just to like lead them to the right product or to lead them, I don't know, like a personality quiz, like just for fun. I think that that's really a unique way to use it, and I haven't seen a lot of people using it that way. So just my two.
I love that.
I think my two would probably be, I like when I've seen creators do, like, after they do the traditional like comment to DM, then they have the rule that maybe 24 hours later they follow up and like say like, hey, I saw like, thanks for commenting or getting that product. Like, do you want to like be a part of my newsletter? And then you can capture your leads, off the back of what that initial feature, was. And so I like when I see that. Another thing, kind of going to the fun side as well, is, we have seen more people starting to take these like more unique approaches to the automations, and doing things where it's like the automations actually like will reveal a mystery, deal or a mystery, link to something, and kind of taking people on like a story within the automation. And so like I know we've played around with it a little bit, we have a online publication, Chronically Online Magazine, that's part of ManyChat. And so we've played around with some of these like fun, like we did a haunted house automation through, around Halloween. Sarah's laughing, she knows what I'm talking about. And so like seeing some of these more unique ways of using automations and just like expanding outside of just the comment to DM feature and just playing around in the product, I think is, something that you can actually see how much you can grow, within that.
Oh, I love that. You all are giving me ideas. One of the features that I really love and that I've been using, is as soon as someone follows you, sending the message to welcome them. And I feel like that's been going really well, but I want to step it up because I've seen some people sending videos and voice notes.
Yeah.
And I think I want to get on that level. So I'm going to change it, because I do want to just go a little bit deeper. But I love that most recently, I had about 2,000 new followers in a week, and I really felt like that feature just helped to get people to know about me more, but also listen to the podcast because that's what I have set up. I have set up as soon as you follow me, thanks for following, listen to my podcast because I kind of feel like that's a free angle and it could really help them get to know me better because we're on the podcast, right? And it's just the entry point of my brand. So I really love that feature and I've been using it. But thanks for sharing those because now I'm taking notes, okay? I am taking notes. So I love that. And I think, I always say people are posting, but they don't have a system after
Mhm.
the post. And so I really think that ManyChat is doing an amazing job to help us have a system after we posting, right? To get those people that we're, when we have our call to action, we're saying like, hey, where are these people going? So I love that. One question I do have as a follow-up, what do you think actually makes someone respond to a DM versus ignore it?
Ooh. I think there's a few different ways that you could answer this. I think it would depend on what the creator is, what the DM itself is. But I think at least if I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the person who is sending like the, DM, and I think that I would hope to get like a response if there is some sort of like action needed, or like if I don't know. Sarah, you might have a better answer for this as the person who sees all of the
Yeah.
DMs that we get from the ManyChat accounts.
Yeah. So I guess like for somebody who's sending DMs, I always feel like the more personal that you can make it, the better, even if you're like a brand, because it's easy to ignore a message when it sounds robotic or like ChatGPT wrote it. Like nobody wants to respond to that. Even like LinkedIn comments that you can tell are written by AI, like I usually don't even respond. I'm like, oh, like I just think it's like so lazy. You know what I mean? Whereas when you actually incorporate like personality, like those are the ones that people actually want to reply to. Like we can tell that you're a human, we can tell that you're a person, and all of that not only translates to the direct, obviously, reply of the DM, but also those people are the ones that turn into your fans. They listen to your podcast, they support your posts, they comment on your other new stuff, they buy your stuff, whatever happens to be. So it's really important to pay attention to your DMs and comments and really just show up like a real person.
I think also just to add to that a little bit, if you are somebody who is DMing brands, and if you're like a creator DMing brands, and trying to, I think the same advice goes for that as well, of like being personable. Like I'm sure that like a lot of brands that kind of can tell when it's an AI written message, or if it's just like a hello to the brand. Like you gotta just show like that it's like that it's you still. And those are going to be the DMs that get noticed on the brand side if you're like looking to have a brand deal or whatever the case may be for that. I would say that the same exact advice goes both ways.
Oh yeah, I can speak to that as somebody who sees our DMs literally every day. Um, yeah, like a lot of people love to send the copy paste messages, and you can tell that they send it to every single brand as like a pitch for a brand deal. And like I'll send you the form to fill out, but the ones who really you can tell like customized it, talked about our product, how they use it, the whole thing, like those are the ones that I'll send directly to our influencer team. I'm like, here you go. So
Well, those were some good tips. And if you're listening and you've been doing the copy and paste message, it's probably time for you to really think about being more intentional, is what I hear both of you saying, right? Coming
Mhm.
in from a more human perspective, we can tell when the comments are, chat GPT. Now, I love a good chat or Claude or whoever you use, but when I'm really responding, I really want people to know that it's me. Even if I do respond, I almost always come back and send a voice note and say like, "Hey, I want you to know this is a real person." Like, because you could just think my regular messages is a chat GPT message, but it's actually me. If I use emoji, so it's me. And I just like to always come back with a voice note. So I love everything that you said here. And I think that was really like a little masterclass on how we should be approaching brands, and we should not be copy and pasting. Okay. So you heard it here first. Do not copy and paste. Okay. And so I want to talk about visibility and opportunity, because this is what I talk about a lot in my content. And Maddie, I want to bring you in here to answer this question first. From a PR and communication perspective, what makes someone stand out enough to even get these opportunities, partnerships, or even speaking engagements?
Relatability, to be honest. And that kind of goes exactly into what we were just saying about like personalization and just showing that you actually understand and care about what it is that you are trying to like pitch yourself as, whether that's for a brand deal, for speaking up. Even like myself, whenever I'm doing a PR pitch for one of our spokespeople, and I'm trying to always figure out like what is the relatable aspect here that like anyone who sees this is going to like be like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. I've been there. I feel the same way. And this is like a PR thing that I've been doing for years too, that if I am coming up with some sort of an angle for a pitch, that if I can't think of how it would make sense to somebody else, or like I can't put myself in the other side's shoes to understand that point of view, then it's probably not relatable enough. I would say niche down to an extent with these, but if you're doing like a speaking up, sometimes going too niche is actually going to be a little bit more difficult than being more broad and relatable, and then bringing in your niche throughout what you speak about, versus pitching your niche right away. And it all just comes back down to just being human, I think. And especially right now in like the era that we are in with AI, and just kind of proving that humanity a little bit. It's kind of, I hate to say that, but that's kind of like where we're at right now too. And so just anything that you can do to just like show your passion, show that you understand what you are talking about, that other people, like it's something that other people would care about as well, I think are just some of like the more the broader like tips I would give there.
Yeah. And Sarah, I want to ask you too, because I know you probably get a ton of pictures just in the DMs. And so, what are your thoughts as well?
Um, can you repeat the question from the beginning just so that I have like a fresh perspective on it?
Yeah. So, what do you think makes the people who are pitching like stand out to get these opportunities? I know we said
Yeah.
like just being relatable, but I know you get a lot of pitches in the DMs that you probably forward to the team. But like, what is your perspective on that as well?
Yeah, so my perspective, like from a, I guess, a brand deal perspective, like who gets the deal, who doesn't. Obviously, like I don't deal with that directly, but I work very closely with our influencer manager team who like does do those types of deals. And to be honest, like what they're usually looking for is a lot within your account. So like for example, if you do have a very clear niche of who you're talking to, it's a little easier to get a brand deal versus somebody who is like very, very broad and generic. Like saying, I'm a lifestyle creator is different than saying, like, oh, I'm a creator who helps moms, create recipes so that she can, make school lunches easier, like something like that. Like it's so much more specific to where like certain brands are going to want to like go and, work with you versus like the generic creator. So for me, it looks a little like that. Like they're looking usually at, does your audience align with the audience that we are looking to target? And that usually comes from niche, in my opinion. I don't know if that exactly answered the question, but hopefully that was helpful.
No, that definitely answers the question, and I agree. I think, there are so many pictures that you all see every day, but I agree, like, we have to be human, right, and relatable, and yes, I know there's a lot of people who say don't niche down, but when I really focus on a particular niche, it just, like, increased my visibility, so I will say what both of you said is spot on, and I do think that people should just niche down more because you can be broad and talk about all the things, but you're right. If you're a lifestyle creator, okay, that could be anything, right? That could be anything, but how do you specifically help people? And I think once we get clear on that, the visibility opportunities and just the opportunities that come from that visibility increase because now you're more specific and talking to a specific person. So I love that. And let's talk about it, the money, right? Because that's why we all here, right? We love to talk about monetization. So I want to go there. Let's go there. Okay. Let's go there. Where are people leaving money on the table right now? And this is for both of you. Where are we leaving money on the table?
That is a
Ooh.
good question. I feel like just to jump in first, I do see. I'm going to talk to like beginner creators, even like beginner entrepreneurs. I feel like for a beginner creator, they often think that the measure of success looks like working with a big brand or like maybe an entrepreneur, the measure of success is like selling a super high ticket product. But I think through that process of trying to get to that like big goal, we forget a lot of the little goals. So like someone who's just trying to get a bunch of brand deals, like that's awesome, but it's kind of hard to keep that sustainable, and it's hard to do if you're smaller for sure. So like what I always encourage those types of creators is like focus on building something that's your own. Like build a digital product, start a podcast, like something that you can literally build up and monetize over time. And then I also think like don't forget to pitch yourself too. So we were just talking about pitches, I'm going to say it again, but like if you do have a podcast like you do, Michelle, or like if you do want brand deals, like pitch yourself to the brands. Like you don't have to sit and wait for the brands to come to you. I've gotten brand deals with less than 10,000 followers easy because I pitched to it and I'll be like, okay, I'm a creator and I can create content for your brand and it works. So I don't know. I think it's just like, it's being a little more proactive, maybe, is where like the opportunities get missed.
Oh, yeah, love it.
I would say similar to this too, that I think that a lot of creators are optimizing probably more for the follower count, the virality, and like so they're just like pumping out the content for that sake and not really thinking about the like audience side of it. I'm not saying this is every creator, but if you optimize for those systems and those systems to get your audience off of that into, like Sarah was saying, like to your digital product, to something that you can actually like own that, then you don't need to have 100,000 plus 500,000 plus followers to still be a successful and to still monetize your content. Like you can start doing that even if you aren't like seeing, if you, even if you feel like you don't have the numbers in your follower count or in your views, like that still is a very, very viable option that can still grow your creator business. While still obviously doing your content, but just like having, like thinking about the systems that you're building in the background to be able to grow that side of it, I think is something that a lot of people might be not even realize that's an option, especially when you are like a smaller creator.
Oh, I love that because look, the money, we're not trying to leave it on the table. So you all have given us just some tips that we can really leverage. And I love what you both said. And I've actually been leaning more into this, right? Treating myself as a media company because somebody who has been online for the last 17 years, I mean, I've built the platforms, right? And so now I feel like it is prime time, right? To partner with brands to really leverage the platforms I've built. I mean, I love this podcast so much. It's 6 years into the podcast, over 655 episodes. And so I feel like if you do have a podcast, if you do have a platform, please take this advice, right? And really start to think about how you can leverage your platforms, not in the regular way like everybody else is doing it, because that doesn't work anymore. To be honest, brands are looking for a bit more, right? I think they're looking to be connected more. They're looking for more integrations and just not the one offs like that we've been doing. So think about it, y'all. If you got a podcast and you're listening, okay, and if you want some tips, I can give you some tips because I have been actively doing this. So it's not that we're not doing enough, right? We maybe just not be doing the right things, okay? And as we talked about here, missing the system that connects all of this. So, all right, y'all. This has been a good episode, but now it's time for the rapid fire, okay? Y'all ready for this rapid fire? Do not overthink this, okay?
No.
Okay, let's go. Okay, first, one thing every entrepreneur should implement this week.
Oh my God, I don't know.
I'm not going to be so rapid on this one.
Maybe, ooh, uh, God, I don't know. Am I not good at rapid fire? Well, yeah, use
ManyChat. I'm gonna use the easy answer here.
The first thing that came to my head though was LinkedIn, because I was someone who it took really long for me to get to LinkedIn, and now that I'm on it and posting consistently, the amount of opportunities that I've gotten is crazy. So for me, it would be that.
That's actually a really huge, a good one. That's a really good one.
I agree. LinkedIn is hot, y'all. Get on LinkedIn if you're not. One mistake creators are making right now.
I think there's a balance between being strategic and posting every day and posting a lot. Like, so again, remembering to post with a strategy always. Like, I think that's something that we forget a lot, because when you start to post without it, that's when you start to get off niche. That's when you start to kind of like wander. And I don't know, I see it a lot.
My brain's answer is actually really similar to that, was going to be hopping on every single trend. Because I do see that a lot, where like, just because it's trending, that like a creator might hop on every single one, but then the exact same thing happens, where then it takes them away from it could take them away from what their niche is, and take away from the strategy that they're trying to build.
Yeah.
I agree. And one way to stand out immediately.
Post. Literally like show up, post, comment on other people's posts, network in real life with people in the DMs, all of that.
I was just going to say, show up to, like, I think in-person networking right now is huge, especially in this, like there's this craving for more of this IRL connection that I'm seeing a lot in the creator economy specifically, and hearing it from people. I mean, we've hosted events over the last few months even, and that's the thing that we keep hearing time and time is like, all these creators that are like craving this in-person connection and these conversations like that they can actually have offline, but then that gives them such a good connection point to, like, we had a South by event back in March, and I've had people now email me referencing a conversation that they had with me at the in-person event, and I immediately like know who they are. And so that's a good way, I think, to stand out. And I'm not saying like everyone needs to go and book flights and go on trips or anything like that, because realistically I know right now that's not feasible. I've seen the airline prices. But like look in your local areas too. There's lots of local creator meetups that are happening. Look at brands that might be based near you too, and like see if they're doing events and things like that, and see if there's any of those more unique ways to, I think, stand out. Just kind of putting yourself out there.
Yeah, no, events have been the thing, right? And you all said it in real life events. I think people are craving that connection. As you all know, I am the event person. So I am doing events online and in person every single month. And it just has been amazing for my business. I love connection. That's really how I thrive. I'm real big on relationships, and I don't think that we can do it from necessarily behind the computer, because honestly, I've met some people from behind the computer and then I met them in person and it's not the same. So you all, please be the same, okay? When you are online and in person, I guarantee you that will just make the process and the conversion and what you're trying to do even better. I had somebody meet me this past week and they're like, "You're exactly like you are online." Personally, I can't be a different person. And so I'm really grateful for that. So I'm glad you said that, because I think that's a great note to end on and say, get in person in real life, your business will flourish. So let me say this before we wrap. Okay. This has been such a great episode. I really appreciate you, Sarah and Maddie. I've met Sarah and Maddie in person, and so I love their personalities. And I said, we have to get them on the podcast for this new Behind the Brand series that I am doing. So thank you all so much for being the second to help me with this Behind the Brand series. And I think that many people want to learn more about the people who work behind our favorite brands. And so I am so grateful for the both of you. So if you've been showing up, you've been posting, right? We've been doing all the things. And thank you to Sarah Taylor. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in. I know all the people who were watching live, the Sarah Taylor just commented and said, that's the best compliment that you can receive is an online presence. Thank you, Sarah, for tuning in from YouTube. Thank you so much. But we're doing everything we're supposed to do, right? And it's not converting. And so it's not because you may not be working hard enough, right? I think it's because you don't have the right system. So if you want to, okay, go back and listen to this podcast episode. Jim's word drop. Do you hear me? They word drop. So get your pen and your notepad and go back and take notes. But as you know, that is exactly what I help my clients build, a system that convert. So if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, again, go back and rewatch this so you can take all the notes from Sarah and Maddie about how we need to be showing up online. So I am so excited. Thank you, ladies, again for coming on today. And please let us know, where can we find you online besides Manny Chat? We know you work with Manny Chat, but where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me, my name on LinkedIn, or you can also follow me at the PR Girly on Instagram. It's a new account, so don't judge my followers. I'm working on it, but
Hey, we all start somewhere, Maddie. It's okay.
exactly, exactly.
And then as for me, I'm Sarah Gav on every platform. So LinkedIn, you can find me at Sarah Gav, and my Instagram is sarahgav.social.
Yes, I love it. And we'll have all their information for you down in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also comment on YouTube. This will also be on my Facebook. LinkedIn has been having some crazy problems, but I will post this also on LinkedIn as well. So everywhere, okay, this will be everywhere, Spotify, everywhere. So leave your comments. We want to hear from you, okay? We want to hear from you. And so thank you all so much for tuning into today's live episode. Thank you all for the live YouTube viewers that tuned in today. The Sarah Taylor, thank you so much. And whoever else tuned in as well, we truly appreciate you. And thank you so much for tuning into today's live episode of Behind the Brand with the amazing ladies from Manny Chat on today's episode of Social Media Decoded. And I cannot wait to talk to you all in the next one.